RIMS is global. Discover why 10,000 of your peers in more than 60 countries are part of the world's largest risk management community. Visit rims.org/membership to find the best membership for you and your organization. Coming to you from RIMS headquarters in New York, this is RIMScast, the official podcast of the Risk and Insurance Management Society. I am Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS and your proud RIMScast host. This is episode 395, and we will be rejoined by our friend Marya Propis, President of Retail Distribution at RT Specialty and honoree at this year's Spencer's Funding Their Future Gala in New York City on September 17th. Lots to catch up on. But first, let's talk about some virtual workshops. The next RIMS-CRMP exam prep with Parima will be held virtually July 21st and 22nd. Links to registration are on this episode's notes. And we have a summertime webinar on July 16th. Zurich will present Too Hot to Ignore, Heat-Related Injuries and Workers' Compensation. Register at rims.org/webinars and via the link on this episode's show notes. Folks, you can enroll now in the RIMS CRO Certificate Program in Advanced Enterprise Risk Management hosted by the famous James Lam. Beginning July 15th, workshops will be held bi-weekly from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. A link to registration is on this episode's show notes. Speaking of ERM, the RIMS ERM Conference 2026 will be held November 19th and 20th in Columbus, Ohio. We want to hear from you. Submit a session proposal by June 19th that will reach engaged practitioners, innovators, and leaders looking for guidance they can utilize right away. Help define what's next for enterprise risk management. Submit a session proposal by Friday, June 19th. Visit rims.org/ERM 2026. And there's an exciting development I want to tell you all about. Through the generosity of its industry partners, RIMS has launched the Foundation for Risk Management, which provides scholarships for early career professionals to attend RIMS events like the RIMS Texas Regional Conference, RIMS Canada Conference, and RISKWORLD. The foundation also helps beneficiaries earn their RIMS-CRMP and fund research projects. To learn more or contribute to the foundation, visit rims.org/FRM and visit the link on this episode's show notes. Folks, RIMS is back on YouTube. Our handle is at RIMS Official Channel. We've got plenty of videos there, including RIMScast, RIMScast Canada video podcasts, and other informative and entertaining content from RIMS. Subscribe to the channel today. We have more plugs later. Let's get on with the show. Marya Propis is rejoining us on RIMScast. She is the president of Retail Distribution at RT Specialty, and she will be honored this year at the Spencer Funding Their Future Gala, which will be held at the world-famous Waldorf Astoria in New York City on September 17th. So much has happened since the last time Marya joined us. We will learn all about her career, her risk management philosophies, how her physical wellness fuels her daily progress as a risk and insurance professional, and why she feels it is so critical to continue her support for women in the profession. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let's get to it. Marya Propis, welcome back to RIMScast. Since the last time we spoke, you're at RT Specialty now, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm coming up on my 6 years with RT Specialty.
Yeah.
It has been by far and away the most enjoyable and successful career chapter that I've been so fortunate to enjoy. So another reason why I'm happy to get caught up with you today, Justin. So many great things to talk about in terms of what's going on in the marketplace, never mind at RT, and certainly how that pertains to Spencer. So
Sure. And so you're president of retail distribution. When you walk into your office, do they play Hail to the Chief?
No, I don't think anybody plays Hail's the Chief. They might play a lot of things, but yeah, no, I'm fortunate. I was promoted into this role several months ago. So, but the intent, the oversight of the function remains consistent with what we've built over the past 6 years, which is a dedicated group under my leadership, really trying to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on in the ultra dynamic U.S. retail landscape, and just always be thinking about ways that we can be more client-centric, partner more fully with our retail clients, and really just be thinking of all the places that our clients need RT to be as, top wholesale partner in the US. So it's good
Excellent.
stuff. Yeah.
How big is your team at RT?
Yeah, so I have 6 people on my team. So we're small but mighty for a wholesaler that placed $32 billion of premium last year. But my team is actually the entirety of all of the brokers and the underwriters that work for RT. So that's 1,500 people. So
Oh, wow.
when you think about my job, okay, I wake up every morning. My job is to make the brokers and underwriters that work for RT more successful every day. And so that's my stakeholders are, again, the market facing talented brokers and underwriters. So, they are my team. And I do, set best practices and standards around compensation and conferences and, the way we engage. Client centricity is very important. So I do extend direction. I think, leadership style has evolved so much.
How so?
Well, I think, the first half of my career, it was all about command and control and, looking at things from the top down and telling everyone what to do, evolved significantly in a very positive way. So I really pride myself. I think I have very good influence leadership skills. People want to follow my direction versus me saying, you have to do it this way. And
you got to earn that, though. You're not saying that just to be self-aggrandizing. You've obviously had a successful career where you can say that comfortably and not worry about somebody coming to you later and saying, hey, I heard you say that about yourself.
Right. No, well, I mean, look, I had to learn a lot myself for how to go from just telling people what to do to creating a path that people want to follow. So that wasn't like I didn't make that switch overnight, and being a top-down command and control leader doesn't feel good a lot besides. So, when we started talking about emotional intelligence as a really important part of leadership, I was like, hey, I've got that.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't using it in any of my management or leadership roles. And it became, I would say, more acceptable to utilize emotional intelligence to get your team aligned and get people thinking, around the direction that you need to go as a team or a firm. So that's been very positive for me. But again, I couldn't flip that switch overnight. I had to learn a lot to change my own leadership style so that people want to follow and feel that like I'm creating the right direction so that they can be more successful. I'm not leading them down a path to doom and demise, right? So,
well, when did emotional intelligence become a centerpiece for discussion in a professional setting in your career? About how many years ago?
Maybe 8 to 10 years ago. I mean, it kind of came hand in hand with when our industry finally started paying attention to women in insurance.
Oh, okay.
And the lack of representation of female leadership in insurance. So, I would say, let's say a decade ago, I think is where the industry started to be very, very deliberate around, geez, we don't have many women in leadership. Geez, there's real obstacles to women in the industry being able to move forward, be promoted, be compensated at the same rate as our male colleagues. So I think it came hand in hand with that. It wasn't just, hey, emotional intelligence is great, let's all do it. It was, hey, women have a distinct and unique skill set. Emotional intelligence is really a very prevalent part of women's skill sets. And again, I'm not genericizing based on gender here. This is what came out a decade ago. And I think we've refined that. But that was where we were like, okay, women do bring real value as leaders. And here's some of the traits that come with that. And that thankfully included emotional intelligence and an emphasis on that.
Excellent. I think that's a great takeaway for our audience. I mean, we have such a great group of rising risk professionals, particularly females, and in the profession and the RIMScast listenership. So this is something that's a great way to kick off this dialogue. Were there other experiences that shaped your approach to leadership?
I think, I've worked for a lot of great leaders. So,
that's
I
key
would
right
say,
there,
there were many executives in the business that I was so fortunate to work with and work closely with. And while I think it's important, like you can't be someone else. Like you can't watch someone else in action and be like, oh, I'm going to be that person as a leader going forward.
Right.
But that's where you can learn a technique or a trait or, something that you can add to the skill set that you already have. So
even if you just take phrases that person uses and then you just
listen,
start
I get
building
my
it into your
best
own
material
dialogues.
from others, Justin, and I'm not shy about saying that. I mean, working at RT Specialty, I mean, Pat Ryan, who founded our firm, I mean, he is, in my eyes and in the eyes of many, I mean, he's the absolute Superman of insurance.
Sure.
Anytime I get to listen to Pat Ryan talk, I leave that with a gem of something that makes me committed to, I'm going to make sure I do that going forward, or, I'm going to make sure I think about that. Like, even to the point where he has an expression that he uses, with our team, and it's do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And it sounds so simple, but if you use that as a guiding principle for how you set your priorities and make decisions based on what our retail clients needs, then the answer is just very obvious what you need to do. So, I mean, he's of course got unbelievable content and leadership skills, but I think that's one real-time example. Like, I hear his voice, I think about that. And again, it's become, a guiding principle for me in terms of the way I make decisions. So that's something I learned from Pat Ryan. And I've got a few other, I think, great examples, but that one's pretty real time. That's one that lives with me pretty much every day. So.
Gotcha. No, that's great. Now, let's go back to, if you don't mind, some of the intricacies of your work, and we'll get some philosophies there, because you're big on the broker carrier partner relationships. So what do the best broker carrier partner relationships, say that 5 times fast, have in common, and what lessons can risk professionals apply from those broker carrier partnerships?
Sure. So my scope of responsibility is actually just retail clients. So I have a counterpart, my colleague Leah Ohodnicki, who oversees carrier management. But she and I, look, we talk all the time. There's so many of the same principles that we apply, just to the different channels in the marketplace. So I'll keep my comments mostly to retail. Yeah. I mean, look, I've been a career salesperson. If you're like, what have you done your whole insurance career, Marya? I'm like, I have sold stuff. Okay. I've sold capabilities. I've sold products, I, sell and represent, wholesale brokerage services today.
But it didn't fall off the back of a truck.
No, it did not.
Okay.
And I think the most important priorities that I subscribe to, one, no client is like another. You must see every client with fresh, objective eyes. Every client has something that is unique or a competitive advantage or special about the way they've built their firm. And sometimes you have to look more carefully to find it, but it's always there. Just like people, right? Everyone's got a skill set or a trait or something that really makes them an outstanding person. And that's kind of the same way that I look at our retail clients. So you have to be able to recognize what's unique, what's different. And you have to be willing to put yourself in their shoes. How do they see the world? Not how do you see them, but, how is that retailer, creating visibility and driving success? Yeah. And so I've said this for several years. I tell my own colleagues this. I really pride myself on being a student of who the retail client is. And then thinking about how we can better frame partnership strategies to work with them as effectively as possible versus I'm Marya, I'm RT Specialty. Look, I got a lot of stuff I could throw at any retail client, right? But really, in my mind, the way to do it is start with what do they need? Where is the place that they will need RT to be more successful? Right. And then I try and construct an engagement approach around that. So it's different than the way I thought about that, 20 years ago, where I'm like, sure, I got all this great stuff. I'm just going to show up and, throw it on the table. It's very different today. So I think not just for insurance, but, in any industry that you're in, I don't want to be a vendor. I want to be a partner.
Right.
So there's a big, big, big difference in the way you have to think to be a trusted business partner. And that's what we're always subscribing to be at our firm. And that's a very important part of my personal professional philosophy on how you create partnerships.
Now, I want to harken back to something else and then bring it back to what you just said about uniqueness. Because the last time you were here, like we said, it was 2019. It was the summer of 2019. And since then, the world has changed a couple of times. And so I would have to assume that while you already probably had a good feeling or instinct about online retail that is probably gone through the washer and dryer a couple of times since the last time we spoke. So is online and technological innovation something that is driving your approach today?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very committed to the digital distribution model.
Yes.
I think that's been one of the more exciting and dynamic components to the retail channel.
And now it's
So
necessary, right?
well, I'm very fond of saying, look, I'm very comfortable talking about AI. Okay.
Sure.
But I don't want to use AI interchangeably with digital distribution. Digital distribution is where we are selling things online. AI is a technology enabler that helps us be more efficient in the sale process.
Right.
So at our firm, we have an online platform portal called RT Connector. So we've been trading E&S specialty, micro and small commercial P&C products for 8 years now on our digital distribution platform. So, that's become very popular, I would say, in terms of building platforms to trade digitally on. But there's a newish type of retail agent in the US marketplace, and those are, what we would call digital agencies. So, they want to trade as efficiently as possible. They want API connectivity. They're very focused on a very specific segment and industry in terms of where they feel they can sell and trade. I mean, even the way they acquire leads is very different than a more traditional retail model.
Right.
I mean, it's all interesting to me.
Yeah.
And another great example of at RT, we're certainly not going to sell RT the same way to a digital agency that we do to a big alpha house, right? They are very, very different. So understanding the model, understanding how that retail agent or broker is structured, and then again, meeting them where they are is another expression we use a lot at RT.
All right.
So with the digital retail agents, I mean, it's a completely different type of retail partnership that we can build with them versus, some of the other models that we work very successfully with. So that's been a lot of fun. I mean, that's why I love this marketplace. It's so dynamic, right? Our retail clients are always evolving and changing and buying lots of stuff, the rate of mergers and acquisitions, right? The way they restructure, how they choose to go to market, how they're winning business. I mean, I think my job is a lot of fun. I love all the learning that comes as the market and our clients continue to evolve. So,
now, you mentioned a tech platform, but do you have a risk framework that you fall back on or use for support as a foundation for your work?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for us, as a digital platform, again, we're a wholesaler. So that platform is going to reflect the appetite and eligibility of the carriers that are technology-enabled carriers that are represented on our platform as our trading partners. So yes, we're again, it's just like what we do in binding authority. We have 130 super talented binding authority teams across our US platform, right? They have the pen. So they know what their appetite is. They know the authority that they have. They have binding authorities. It's the actual literal name, of that particular practice. And, but that's where we're trading. That's human interaction. We essentially mimic that same process with some of the same carrier partners by putting their appetite, product-specific appetite, on our digital platform. So that same agent can either go to the RT binding authority underwriter, the human that they love to trade with, and or they can go and log on and go through the front door of RT Connector. And if it fits the appetite of the products that we have on the RT Connector platform, in 5 minutes, they can rate, quote, bind, issue, e-delivery of policies, surplus lines, taxes, premium financing. So I love that because I could say to any agent, well, how do you want to trade with the E&S specialty marketplace? Because I have a lot of paths that you can follow that get you to that same place where you still win. You tell us what path you prefer, and then we can put, again, the right resources around that. So that's a lot of fun.
Excellent. Do you work with franchises and franchise systems?
What do you mean by franchises? So,
big franchise brands.
So if our retail client brings a franchise opportunity to us, if there's a franchise operation that's an insured, yes, we write lots of them in the U.S. today.
Okay.
But again, it's I'm participating on risks that the retail client brings to us. So I don't sell direct to franchises, but we have a lot of franchises and programs and chains in our book of business. So yes.
Yeah. And does it run the gamut from food retail to sports retail?
Everything.
Yeah.
We actually have the largest sports and entertainment practice in the wholesale segment in the US. So we write lots and lots and lots of sports and event related risks. It's a really challenging, tough segment of the marketplace. So we've invested a lot in terms of talent. We own the largest MGU in the marketplace today. So yeah, we love sports and professional, amateur, and everything in between. So yeah, that's a very successful market segment for us. So
2 quick questions about that. For our public audience who may not be in the biz, what's an MGU?
Thank you for asking that. So another segment of the marketplace where people use terms interchangeably. So MGU, managing general underwriter.
Okay.
Different than MGA, managing general agency. Different than a program. Okay. So this has been one of the fastest growing segments of the specialty market in the United States. Okay. And that's where, again, you create a homogeneous appetite for a certain type book of business. Okay. You find a carrier partner. You set up, again, well, let's just call it a program for the sake of simplicity. You set up a program and then you open up your storefront and you either distribute through retailers, through wholesalers. Some are direct to insureds, right? In terms of the marketplace knowledge that they have. But it's managing general underwriter means that we would create the appetite and the guidelines. Managing general agent is the carrier has already defined that. They're allowing us to put a storefront in front of that. So, but that's different than some of the traditional carriers that we work with, like the big nameplate, like a Lexington Insurance Company or a Westchester Insurance Company. Those are carriers.
Sure.
Those are different market solutions than when we approach an MGU on behalf of our retail clients. So
it's fascinating. Now, why is sports and entertainment blowing up the way that it has?
I mean, anytime you have a lot of people in one place at an event, there are lots of risks associated with that. So not just gun violence, okay, political violence, right? Means of evacuation response, okay?
Emergency preparedness, things like that.
Exactly.
Sure.
So we've seen that time and time and time again. Again, when you have a lot of people congregating for a sporting event or a demonstration or a commemoration, you name it.
Yeah.
It's gotten much riskier when you put a lot of humans in one place today.
Yeah.
And so that has made that segment of our marketplace much more challenging than it ever was. So
I just imagine a boxing match. That's where my mind goes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Think about what happens. You go to a boxing match at Caesar's Palace in Vegas, right?
Right.
I mean, think about the number of active shooter incidents that we've had that unfortunately we've experienced just in Vegas alone.
Right. It was 2017 was that awful Mandalay Bay shooting, right?
Yes. So, we absolutely believe this. The excess and surplus lines market segment is the permanent home for high hazard risks in the U.S.
Yeah.
Not an escape valve. Those types of risks, at least in my lifetime, are never going to swing back to the direct admitted standard carrier side. So again, that's where, as a wholesale broker, we are looking to partner with carriers that have the right type of appetite to support those risks. We look to build product. So we own our own MGUs, MGAs, and programs. Love to invest and build product when segments of the marketplace become very, very tough and challenging so that we have enough solutions available through our brokers and our underwriters to write really any risk, any class of business.
Let's take a quick break and talk about all the fantastic RIMS events coming up in 2026. The annual Florida Educational Conference will be held July 28th through August 1st, once again at the lovely Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida. A link to the event is on this episode's show notes. And you can register now for the second annual RIMS Texas Regional Conference, which will be held August 10th through the 12th at the wonderful Grand Hyatt on the San Antonio Riverwalk. The 11th annual Chicagoland Risk Forum will return to the old post office on Thursday, September 24th. Visit chicagolandriskforum.org for more information. The RIMS Western Regional Conference will be held October 4th through the 7th in Seattle, Washington. Registration is open and you can also submit a session. Visit rimswesternregional.com and the link on this episode's show notes for more information. And save the dates, October 18th through the 21st. We will be in Quebec City to celebrate the 50th live RIMS Canada Conference. Booth sales are already open, and early bird registration is open now. Visit rimscanadaconference.ca for more information, and also remember to check out rims.org/Canada for our spin-off show, RIMScast Canada, hosted by National Conference Committee Chair Aaron Luconi. And as we said at the top, the RIMS ERM Conference 2026 will be held November 19th and 20th in Columbus, Ohio. The deadline for educational content submissions is Friday, June 19th, so get those submissions in now. The link is on this episode's show notes. Registration opens in July. And now let's return to our interview with Marya Propis.
And we are back with Marya Propis, who has been such a wonderful friend to RIMS and the Spencer Educational Foundation and to RIMScast. And we're going to talk about Spencer in a little bit, but there was something that we were discussing before we were rolling that I think should be discussed. We don't get to talk about this enough. And that is that you are very physically active. You incorporate workouts into your lifestyle so that you can perform better as a risk and insurance professional. Now, I'm not preaching here, but I also feel the same way. I feel like if I don't exercise or work out by a certain amount of time or a certain amount during the week, I feel like I've missed out. You feel the same way?
I do. So, look, I've got about 35 years in the business now.
That's a lot of sitting.
It's a lot of sitting. I travel pretty much every week of the month now for work. So
car or plane?
Plane. So
okay.
I like many people, I fly a lot. And, I'm very focused on my wellness routine. So it's not just about physical activity for me.
Sure.
I've been an athlete my whole life. So working out is really important to me. But so is self-care.
Sure.
And, frankly, as a woman that, has gone through menopause and spent a lot of time trying to figure out like what was going sideways with me physically and mentally, I really feel good about, where I am today in terms of my own commitment to myself, the supplements that I take, right? A lot of understanding into healthy brain functioning as we age and the effect that hormones have on healthy brain functioning for both men and women. So, this isn't like an East meets West medicine debate anymore, right?
Right.
We know that this has a significant impact on our ability to function. So I'm really, really, really in tune with that. Is my lifestyle perfect? Of course not. I'm eating out 80% of the time, in restaurants. So,
sure.
And frankly, there's a lot of entertaining and drinking alcohol goes with that too.
Right.
So,
even just the 1 week of RISKWORLD just sends my body into a tizzy, right?
We're at parties every night, right? So,
yep.
And I so love the relationship building, social, personal connection side of the business. Like, I'm not going to skip drinks or dinner with anyone, right? That's one of the things we love. But it's also a place where, there can be, quite frankly, like a lot of pitfalls.
Sure.
So, I'm not this like, I don't subscribe to an austerity lifestyle, right? I certainly not a teetotaler, but I pick my spots now. I have to.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, like, I can't be dragging on Thursday morning. I've still got 2 big days ahead of me, to deliver. And so I've just spent a lot of time figuring out how I need to eat, how much sleep. And my gosh, there's so much written now, on sleep quality, right? Not just how much sleep you need, but quality of sleep, all that,
sure.
Which gets really tough when you're traveling and sleeping in lots of different hotel rooms and flying on planes. So to me, I look at all of this this is the way it is with the career that I've chosen and the career I love. But I have to be much more deliberate and mindful and remind myself to step back and say, okay, for the month of June, I am traveling, 18 days this month. Okay. And what does that look like? And so the days I'm not traveling, I know what I have to do in terms of my workout, any other part of my wellness routine, where I need to make sure I get enough sleep. I mean, they always say you can't catch up on sleep, but you can a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
During some downtime. Yeah.
Well, you can rack up a sleep debt. And that's why people crash so hard every other Sunday or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I've tried to be, look, I'm still open and willing. Like everything else in life, I still want to learn.
Sure.
So, I am very open to trying and learning new things. I believe in supplements and vitamins.
Sure.
Right. And frankly, I take different ones now than I would have taken a decade ago, but you have to, be a student of that, just like everything else in life, that the second you start to lose that desire to learn what's next, I imagine that it's not real fun when people's mindset changes there. So for me, look, my fitness routine, I love to do lots of different stuff. I've been a yoga practitioner for 30 years. Okay. I now do power vinyasa in an infrared studio. The benefits of infrared, that's another thing, scientifically not debatable. Infrared is great for joints, for skin, for healthy brain functioning. That really amped up my yoga routine, right? I do TRX. It's another thing I love to do, which is all body weight, right?
Yeah.
You know what that looks like. That is so much fun. And most of the hotel gyms today have, a TRX setup there.
They have the bands with the two handles and you can just, we have it at my gym too. Sure.
So I love that, right? Again, since I spend, a lot of my time in hotels and hotel gyms, right?
Yep.
And then, I do a lot of circuit training. I work with weights at least 3 times a week. And they say, for women my age, lift heavy. You have to do that so that you can continue to have skeletal strength and integrity. So, it sounds like a lot. Now that I'm saying it all out loud, sounds like a lot. Maybe it is, but I just think for me, this is, when you're a professional athlete and you have to perform and deliver, this is this part of the way that you think. And that's kind of how I think too. I have to show up and be my best self when I'm representing RT specialty in the marketplace, because I have a lot of people relying on me to show up and be crisp and present and great level of energy. And you can't do that if you're dragging all the time. So
100%. And what was Marya Propis's sport of choice? Were you a pole vaulter?
No.
No? I could see you pole vaulting and just getting over that bar.
No, I would say first sport. Look, I grew up in Buffalo, New York. I'm a big skier. So that was probably the first sport my whole family, does. I played tennis in high school and college.
Great one.
I ran track, but I was a sprinter. I've never been a long distance runner, even though I have some marathoners in my family. So, and then today, if you're like, hey, what's your favorite sport? Honestly, I like yoga.
Yeah.
And by the way, it is a sport.
Well, I would say it's certainly a workout.
It certainly is.
I've never seen competitive yoga though. Is that a thing?
There's a couple of genres of yoga where they do actually have world competitions.
Oh, are there really?
Yeah. I'm not into restorative yoga. I like really vigorous athletic type yoga. Unfortunately, again, that's another thing that's changed a lot, is the style of yoga that you can access.
Yeah.
So I do, I would say very vigorous athletic yoga. That's my preference and that's what I love. So, and it works.
We will take one more quick break. Since Marya Propis is joining us, we got to talk about what's happening with the Spencer Educational Foundation. Let's talk about the openings and deadlines for various Spencer Educational Foundation programs and grants. The Risk Manager on Campus application period is now open, and it will close on June 30th. Grant awardees, colleges and universities are typically notified in September. General grants are open, and the application deadline is July 30th. And internship grant applications open on August 15th and close on October 15th. Links to each of these grants are on this episode's show notes. And of course, you can visit spencered.org for more information. And let's conclude our interview with one of the 2 honorees of the Spencer Educational Foundation's Funding Their Future Gala 2026, Marya Propis.
And I also wanted to talk about you're so involved and plugged into this profession and the associations that comprise the profession and support the professions, particularly when it comes to empowering women. We got APIW, we got WISE. Tell us about some of the other organizations that, in addition to Spencer, where you are active.
Yeah, so I'm really fortunate. I represent my firm on two different boards today. One is CIB, the Council of Insurance Agents and Brokers, where the focus there is again on agents and brokers, not just in the U.S. That is an international organization, very well known for their regulatory and lobbying efforts, both for the P&C industry as well the benefits, health and benefits side of our business. I really, really enjoy that. I spent a week in London last month with the council. What a great opportunity to re-immerse myself in the London marketplace, which, I think there's a lot going on in the US. There's so much going on in the London marketplace. And that has really been a lot of fun. And again, a place to continue to learn. And then WSIA, you mentioned WSIA. So that is the association that represents the wholesale specialty segment, which the E&S market segment only exists in the United States, to be clear. There's specialty markets around the world, but the excess and surplus lines market segment is US only. But WSIA is another wonderful organization that we are very involved in. They do such great work for us in terms of representing the wholesale community. But what's great about both CIAB and WSIA is the work that they do to support young and developing insurance and risk management professionals. That's very, very consistent with the work and the scope and the mission of Spencer, and very complementary. So good. I love the way in my own little world, the way all of that comes together to support and honor a priority that, I've been fortunate. Look, I've been in the space, developing, recruiting, supporting emerging leaders and talent in the insurance and risk management marketplace for a long, long, long time. And it's a space I love to be in. So again, in my little world, it all comes together pretty nicely with my board service and my commitments to foundations and causes.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about Spencer. This year, 2026 is very special because the Spencer Funding Their Future Gala will be Thursday, September 17th at the world famous Waldorf Astoria. Every time I say it, I just wish James Earl Jones was saying it instead, but he's not. And so you are one of the two honorees this year. We are back to where it all began as far as the gala is concerned at the Waldorf. You must be so stoked to be receiving this honor. What does it mean to you?
Well, I mean, I can't remember a time where I looked forward to something so much. I mean, okay. Firstly, I was surprised and feel really, really humble. Having sat on the other side. I mean, I worked in the space for so long when I was a Spencer board member, and especially when I was chair of the board, right? Yeah. Every year thinking about, who we would honor, right? So I sat on that side for a decade, right? So it's like really humbling to even be considered, let alone this year. And going back to the Waldorf Astoria, I mean, I still remember like the first Spencer Gala there that I spoke at, because I was chairing our fundraising committee at the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I just about passed out before I had to get up on the stage that year. I never talked in front of so many people, and it's the whole industry. And I was like hyperventilating. I think I did okay, but
it's a rush. I wasn't there. This probably antedates my time at RIMS, but my guess is that you did well, probably better than you remember.
Well,
That'd be my guess.
I didn't fall off the stage. Let's at least leave it at that, right? And I did remember to enjoy myself a little bit. And and the space, the Waldorf Astoria is one of the most storied hotels in the history of New York City. So
it's an institution.
Oh, in fact, it was closed for so many years, and now it's reopened, and we're returning there as the site of the gala, which was my first big gala night. Is really cool. Our Sierra Signorelli, the other honoree for the night. So Sierra and I both worked together early on in our careers at AIG.
Oh, okay.
So we got our significant start to our careers as part of the AIG team then. And so we worked together. So we've known each other for a long time. She is absolutely a lovely, smart, bright, accomplished person. I'm so happy to be doing this with her.
She is the Zurich US CEO and Zurich Commercial Insurance CEO. Those are not easy titles to achieve, folks.
No kidding, especially for a global insurance carrier.
Sure.
I mean, I admire her career trajectory and the leadership influence that she's had on so many. And I'm sure she feels the same way. I mean, this is the first time that we've had 2 female honorees in the history of Spencer Gala. So the fact that I get to share that honor with Sierra, someone I know and trust and respect so highly, just makes it even more special and really, really a night to look forward to. So I can't wait.
That's excellent. Now, you're a director of distinction now on the Spencer board, right?
I am. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what those responsibilities are.
Well, I mean, look, we are RT Specialty. We are on the Spencer board today, representing my colleague Michael Van Acker, has the board seat today. So, Michael is the day-to-day representative for RT and Ryan Specialty, on the Spencer board. I should have pointed out earlier, by the way, Pat Ryan, who I talked about earlier on, Pat was honored by Spencer at one of the very first galas that we ever had. Tim Turner, our chair and CEO, introduced Pat that year. So our firm has a long history of involvement. We've had a seat on the board for a long time. So I'm a director of distinction because I'm a former board chair.
Gotcha.
So really, look, there's not a lot of ask from me other than to be an advocate wherever Megan Miller needs me to be, right? Be conversant with where Spencer, is continuing to support, drive results, that I stay in touch. I make sure I understand what's going on with their particular programs, the schools that they're partnering with, right? So it's really be informed and be an ambassador, right?
Yeah.
And then jump in really a la carte, any place that, Megan and the Spencer team would need me, any place I can influence, help, support, assist. But, I think of myself as a Spencer ambassador.
Sure.
And I try and talk about Spencer support. I spoke at a conference a couple weeks ago, a Reuters conference, the E&S Insurer Conference. And right on the other side of that conference, I pulled Megan in and introduced her to the Reuters folks to say, hey, can we get a 5-minute spotlight on Spencer next year? Because this is a big conference now. So, I mean, that's a very real-time example of, where I can help, where I try to help. So I'd like to make sure that happens and, always looking for opportunities to promote Spencer.
And when you meet Spencer's scholars today, what gives you the most optimism about the future of risk and insurance?
I mean, honestly, they're so excited about their insurance career.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more infectious than their enthusiasm for the career path that they've chosen. And to talk to a young person who has, never mind their whole career, their whole life in front of them. I mean, look, I don't have kids of my own, unfortunately. And that's okay. It wasn't, part of God's plan for me. But any opportunity I have to spend time, with young people, recognize, for me in particular, super energizing. I treat it like a privilege. When a young person actually wants to talk to me and spend time with me, I'm like, wow, this is great. Because enthusiasm is infectious. And, at the end of the day, I hope everyone would agree with me. I mean, I want to leave the insurance industry in a much better place than it was when I first came into the business.
Sure.
On so many levels, right? And I'm only one person, so I don't want to overplay like my contributions here. But spending time with the young people that will be the leaders of our industry in the future, I mean, there's like no better feeling. And anything I can do to have any type of influence or set an example or help them think through something, I mean, it helps me continue to feel so wildly enthusiastic about my own career. So it's good stuff. I mean, I love it when I get to spend time with the young brokers and underwriters that work at my own firm. It is just such a pleasure. So,
and the scholarship recipients that I've seen at the gala, when they're on stage, they are so impressive. It makes you wonder when they have time to sleep also, because they're in school and they're so involved and they're just a real shining example of what we want the future of this profession to be.
I mean, I'm going to say this with all sincerity. There is no way when I was like 22 years old that I could have gotten up in front of a room of 800 people in my profession and spoken like that. There's no doubt in my mind I would never have been able to do that. So even their ability to get up in front of that audience and talk is like huge, right? Every year I'm like, oh my gosh, right?
Just the public speaking part alone should.
And then the messages, what they talk about in terms of their own careers and what they learned, right? I mean, I'm delighted that we have basically kept the format for the gala consistent for many years. The focus is on the students, the benefits that Spencer Funding drives for the industry, a place where you can see real impact to real lives because of the fundraising dollars that the insurance and risk management industry has stepped up and invested in. So that's really the focus, right? Then we cut to dinner, and then there's 2 honorees, right? And then, we wrap it up. But I love that we've never complicated the program for gala, because I think it's kept the focus in the right place, which is on what we're doing to fund the future leaders of our industry. So I'm really excited to meet the Spencer scholars that are going to be asked to speak at Gala this year and learn a little bit more about them and hopefully meet their families. Lots of times, the speakers will bring their families with them. I'm going to have my mom and dad with me at Gala that night. So that'll just round out what's already going to be a really terrific and exciting evening. So
that's excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing you there on September 17th at the Waldorf Astoria. You're going to be there with your old friend, Sierra Signorelli.
Yes.
And that's going to be such a fantastic time. I was going to say a tremendous time, but it's going to be that too. Yep. And the link to the Funding Their Future Gala is on this episode's show notes. Marya, well, we're very happy for you and congratulations again. I can't wait to see you again in September.
Me neither. I'm so looking forward to seeing you, Justin, and the rest of the team from RIMS. Another long-standing, awesome, successful partnership between Spencer and RIMS. So thank you so much for all your support.
You've got a cheer squad. We'll be there front and center for you.
Yay!
Special thanks again to Marya Propis for rejoining us here on RIMScast. We congratulate her again in advance of receiving the honor at the Spencer Educational Foundation's 2026 Funding Their Future Gala, which will be held September 17th at the world-famous Waldorf Astoria in New York City. Visit spencered.org for more information and to purchase your ticket and for sponsorship opportunities. Join us next week as we will be joined by Spencer Board Chair John L. Holly. We will learn all about his career journey and risk philosophies. And now I want to speak about a topic near and dear to my heart, sponsorships. You can sponsor a RIMScast episode either on our publicly facing weekly show, that's this show, or with a dedicated episode. RIMScast has produced special episodes for JB Boda, The Hartford, Alliant, Zurich, Highwire, AXA XL, Prudent Insurance Brokers, High Trust, and Aon. Links to sponsored episodes are on our show notes. RIMScast has a global audience comprised of risk and insurance professionals, legal professionals, students, business leaders, C-suite executives, and more. Let's collaborate and help you reach them. Contact pd@rims.org for more information. Let's talk about RIMS membership, folks. Become a RIMS member and get access to the tools, thought leadership, and network you need to succeed. Visit rims.org/membership or email membershipdept@rims.org for more information. And let's also talk about Risk Knowledge. This is the RIMS searchable content library that provides relevant information for today's risk professionals. Available materials include RIMS executive reports, survey findings, contributed articles, industry research, benchmarking data, and more. For the best reporting on the profession of risk management, check out Risk Management Magazine. This is the Society's official quarterly digital publication. It is written and published by the best minds in risk management. My name is Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS. Please remember to subscribe to RIMScast on your favorite podcasting app. Email us at content@rims.org. Practice good risk management, stay safe, and thank you again for your continued support.